stress reduction would not be the goal of your inner life. The scientific evidence for mindfulness reducing stress, anxiety, and rumination, it's also solid. Mindfulness cultivates awareness, but awareness of what and why? Around Murakaba. So he taught that the practice of watching intention, watching inner movements, watching hidden motivation, mindfulness is everywhere. A therapist might recommend it. There's apps on the phone for it. Nowadays, also schools teach it to children or at the workplace as branded as the solution to stress, to anxiety, to the chaos of modern life. And as a Muslim, we might have wondered, like, is this okay? Or is this Buddhist? Is this secular? There are some Muslim speakers saying that it's fine, that just means paying attention. There are some that say that it's haram because it comes from a non-Islamic spiritual tradition. And a third group would say Islam already has mindfulness, or the good that mindfulness can bring, calling it different things. And I believe that that group is the closest to right, but they're still missing something, meaning that what Islam has is not mindfulness with an Islamic label, but something structurally different, and the difference matters more than the similarity. In its modern secular form, mindfulness means non-judgmental awareness of the present moment. It means observing the thoughts, observing the feelings, sensations without rejecting, without labeling good as bad, without trying to change anything, just noticing. And the goal here is to step out of the cycle of reactivity. Instead of feeling anxiety and immediately spiraling, we observe the anxiety, we watch it arise, we watch it pass. We learn that we are not our thoughts and feelings, we are the one watching them. This is very helpful for many people because the ability to pause between stimulus and response is a fundamental skill. And the scientific evidence for mindfulness reducing stress, anxiety, and rumination, it's also solid. What's the problem here? I would say it is being aware but no direction. Mindfulness cultivates awareness, but awareness of what and why? And in secular mindfulness, there's no destination. You just observe without judgment and you accept what it is, and that's it. The practice is its own purpose. And this works well enough if what you're doing is just stress reduction. But if you're a Muslim, meaning is built in yourself. And stress reduction would not be the goal of your inner life. You have a direction, you have a standard, you have a relationship with Allah that gives every inner state a meaning, a purpose. And, many people like non-judgmental awareness because it feels liberating, enough with rules, right? But when you think about it, if you experience arrogance and you just observe it without judgment, is that actually what you need? If you notice ghafla, forgetfulness, and you just accept it, is that really helping? And sometimes what we need is to judge in the real meaning of the world. Sometimes awareness needs to lead to action, to change, to struggle, to fight injustices, internal ones, but also the external ones. So mindfulness without a moral compass is a map with no destination. We can see where we are, but we don't know where we have to go. We just see different places. The Islamic practice that people often compare to mindfulness is called Murakaba. And this word comes from the root raqaba, watch, observe, look similar on the surface, right? You are aware, watch states and thoughts, but the similarities finishes at the surface. Murakaba, it's awareness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, awareness of us. The Prophet ﷺ defined Ihsan, the highest level of faith, as to worship Allah as though you see Him, and if you do not see Him, then to know that He sees you. The second half, to know that He sees you, that is Murakaba. It is the cultivation of constant living awareness that you are being observed by your Creator at every moment. And this changes everything about the practice. Because in mindfulness, you can be the observed, right? The orientation is flipped. You're standing before Allah and noticing what He sees when He looks at you. Murakaba gives this awareness a clear direction. And when you sit in Murakaba, you notice arrogance arising in the heart. This is not about observing it, as recognizing it as a disease, that distance from Allah, and we have to treat it urgency. Awareness immediately is accountability. Immediately it is action, not punishing, but honesty is do what you believe is right. This is really liberating. And it's a practice of purification, not observation. And while secular mindfulness produces calm, Murakaba produces khashya. This realigns the heart priorities. We know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is aware, and the things that dominate the nafs, the desire for approval, the attachment to the world, the fear of people, lose their power. They become smaller and smaller. The more Murakaba grows, the more these things we don't really care. Al-Muhasibi, and his name literally means the one who does muhasaba, who holds himself into account, built his entire spiritual program around Murakaba. So he taught that the practice of watching intention, watching inner movements, watching hidden motivation in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the single most powerful tool for transformation. And Al-Ghazali placed Murakaba as the second step in his daily program of inner health, right after Musharata. Musharata is set conditions for your nafs every morning. Then directly comes Murakaba. Throughout your day, you train yourself, and there are different techniques, to have an awareness that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching. Before we speak, He is hearing before we speak. He is seeing before we act. He is knowing before we think. That changes life, subhanAllah, in an incredible manner. That awareness, once it informs choices, it brings an intimacy towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it needs freedom. And freedom is needed to have courage. So this is also a root way to change the world and change injustices we see every day. So practically we can start very small, choosing one action each day, maybe the salah, and enter it with the conscious intention, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching me right now. And notice what change. Notice how attention would sharpen, sincerity would deepen, the noise of the nafs would quiet. And this does not mean simply mindfulness is haram. I'm not here to give a fatwa. I can't. I'm not titled for that. I'm saying something very practical, that if you see that mindfulness exercises are useful for managing stress, then use them as tools. But let's not mistake a tool for a path. Mindfulness can calm you, but life is more than that. We want to be transformed. Let's desire more out of our growth. Let's just not reduce our suffering. What kind of a life direction is that? Let's reorient our soul. These are very different projects. And please, when people tell you that Islam's version is just the same thing in Arabic, it is not. And the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Murakaba is not a cultural add-on, it's the entire point. If you remove it, you have a different practice with a different purpose and a different destination. What the modern awareness is offering you is not just awareness without direction. While Islam is offering us awareness with the ultimate direction towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, Murakaba is not complicated. It's not strange meditation that we have to train for. It's just the practice of remembering that we are seen. And from that remembering, things change. How we treat people, how we treat ourselves, how we move through the day, how we stand in the prayer. And this does not need an app, does not need a retreat, does not need you pay money for it. It's just the simple idea. The one who created me is watching me with mercy, with closeness, with all his beautiful names. Let's start there. That's already Murakaba, and you're going to see what a difference that makes from simple stress management and mindfulness.